the party, but not on stage. Shaquille O'Neal just drew a brutal line through Lakers history, and somehow LeBron James ended up standing on the wrong side of it, asked where LeBron belongs among the greatest players ever to wear purple and gold. Shaq went straight to the one category that can silence almost any argument. Championships. According to the source, he pointed to Kareem, Magic, Kobe, and himself, then delivered the line that instantly lit up the debate. LeBron is at the party, but he is not on stage. That is a savage way to summarize 8 seasons in Los Angeles, because LeBron did not arrive to a Lakers dynasty already rolling. He joined a franchise that had missed the playoffs for 5 straight seasons, helped to drag it back into relevance, and delivered a championship in 2020. He remained elite deep into his 30s, became the NBA's all-time leading scorer while wearing a Lakers uniform, and spent years carrying the pressure that comes with being the face of one of the most demanding franchises in sports. And yet, in Shaq's framework, none of that gets you to the top floor. One ring is one ring. Kobe had 5 with the Lakers. Magic had 5. Kareem won multiple titles in Los Angeles. Shaq helped anchor a three-peat. If the standard is banners, LeBron clearly trails those names, but here is where Shaq's argument gets messy. The source points out that the championship totals used in the comparison are not all Lakers-only totals. Shaq referenced his full career ring count, and Kareem's full career total includes a title won before Los Angeles. So what exactly are we measuring here, career greatness or Lakers greatness? Because if the rules change depending on the player, then ring count stops being as clean as it sounds. And context matters too. LeBron did not inherit Showtime. He did not step into the Kobe Shaq machine. He arrived after years of losing and helped restore the Lakers to the top in just his 2nd season with the franchise. That is why this quote hits so hard. Shaq is not saying LeBron failed. He is saying success is not the same thing as immortality in Los Angeles. And that opens the real fight. Is being a Lakers legend about championships above everything else? Or should impact, longevity, records, context, and the difficulty of the situation matter too? Because if rings are the only answer, Shaq may have already won the argument. But if the whole story counts, LeBron's case gets a lot stronger. So where are you watching from? Drop your city or state in the comments. If you think Shaq is right and LeBron belongs in Lakers history but not on the top stage, come on. If you think LeBron absolutely deserves a place with the franchise's biggest legends, come on dude, and subscribe to the channel. Because this debate gets even more explosive once you see why fans immediately started attacking Shaq's logic, why Shaq's comment exploded. Shaq's line did not go viral because people suddenly discovered LeBron James won 1 championship with the Lakers. Everybody already knew that. It exploded because of the way Shaq framed it. LeBron was not outside Lakers history. He was not being erased. Shaq gave him just enough respect to make the criticism hit harder. He was invited to the party, but he was not standing on the stage with the true icon. Then, Shaq started naming names: Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Shaq himself, and even Kurt Rambis entered the conversation. That is where fans completely lost it. Because once Rambis was used in the same championship count comparison as LeBron, the debate stopped sounding like a normal ranking and started sounding personal to a lot of people. Fans immediately pushed back, arguing that LeBron's value to the Lakers cannot possibly be reduced to the number of rings beside his name. The source describes social media reactions attacking Shaq from several directions. Some argued that Shaq needed Kobe to build his own Lakers legacy. Others questioned why career championship totals were being mixed with Lakers-specific accomplishments. Another group focused on the idea that LeBron came to a struggling franchise and helped deliver a championship instead of walking into an established dynasty. And that is what made this debate dangerous. Both sides had evidence. Shaq's side had banners. LeBron's defenders had context. And once those two measurements collide, there is no easy winner. The Lakers are not a normal franchise. For most teams, 1 championship can turn a player into an immortal forever. In Los Angeles, 1 championship can still leave you being compared to people who won 5. That is the burden LeBron accepted when he chose the Lakers. He did something historic, but the franchise's history is so overwhelming that even historic accomplishments can look smaller when placed beside Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, and the Shaq-Kobe three-peat, and the timing made everything even more intense. According to the source's narrative, LeBron's Lakers chapter had just ended, which meant people were no longer discussing what he might accomplish in Los Angeles. They were judging the finished product. 8 seasons, 1 championship, massive individual production, historic records. And now one question, was that enough? Shaq had already given his answer, but the more people looked at his reasoning, the more complicated it became. Because in the very same conversations where Shaq seemed to lower LeBron's Lakers ranking, he was also doing something unexpected. He was defending him, and that contradiction is where this story becomes much more interesting. Shaq defends LeBron, then cuts him down. Here is what makes Shaquille O'Neal's position so fascinating. He is not a LeBron hater, at least not in the simple way. People want this debate to work. According to the source, Shaq has repeatedly defended LeBron on some of the exact issues critics use against him. He pushed back against the idea that LeBron's 2020 championship should somehow count less because it was won inside the NBA bubble. He rejected criticism of LeBron as a desperate ring chaser. He even suggested he would not object to LeBron eventually receiving a statue in Los Angeles. Think about that. Shaq is basically saying LeBron's championship is legitimate. His accomplishments are legitimate. His greatness is legitimate. His connection to Lakers history is legitimate, but he still refuses to put him on the highest stage. That is not disrespect in the traditional sense. It is respect with a ceiling. Every compliment comes with an asterisk. Yes. LeBron won, but only once. Yes. LeBron broke records, but Magic and Kobe brought more banners. Yes. He deserves recognition, but maybe not the same recognition. That distinction may actually irritate LeBron supporters more than direct criticism would, because if Shaq simply said LeBron was overrated, the argument would be easy to dismiss. Instead, he acknowledges the greatness and then draws a boundary around it. And Shaq's logic remains surprisingly consistent. In his world, Lakers immortality has levels. There are great players, there are franchise legends, then there are the names who define entire eras of Lakers basketball. Magic did that, Kareem did that, Kobe did that, Shaq did it during a dominant championship run. LeBron, in Shaq's view, may have entered the legend conversation without completely owning an era in the same way, but there is one major problem with that logic. LeBron's era did not begin under the same conditions. He was not joining Showtime. He was not entering the Shaq-Kobe dynasty. He was not stepping into a franchise fresh off a finals appearance. He walked into a Lakers organization that had spent years searching for direction. So before deciding whether one championship is enough, you have to ask a different question. What exactly did LeBron inherit? Because when you look at the Lakers team that existed before he arrived, that single championship starts carrying a different kind of weight. What LeBron actually inherited in Los Angeles. When LeBron James signed with the Lakers in 2018, he was not joining the version of Los Angeles that lives in highlight packages. There was no Showtime machine waiting for him. There was no Shaq and Kobe combination already dominating the league. There was no established championship core. The Lakers had missed the playoffs for 5 consecutive seasons before LeBron arrived. 5 straight. That is almost impossible to imagine. When you think about how the franchise markets itself, this is the organization of Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and countless championship banners. But when LeBron entered the building, the Lakers were not a dynasty. They were trying to become relevant again. That context is one of the strongest arguments in LeBron's favor. He did not just add himself to a championship structure. He became the reason championship expectations returned. The first season was messy. There were injuries. Young players were still developing. The roster was not ready. Then Los Angeles made its aggressive move for Anthony Davis, and everything changed. By LeBron's second season with the Lakers, the franchise was a championship contender. Then came 2020, a season unlike anything the NBA had ever experienced. A global pandemic suspended play, teams entered a bubble in Orlando. There were no home crowds, no traditional travel, no normal playoff atmosphere. And through that completely unfamiliar environment, LeBron and the Lakers survived. They won the championship. That title ended a decade-long championship drought for Los Angeles. The source correctly treats that championship as the centerpiece of LeBron's Lakers case, and also notes that Shaq himself has defended its legitimacy against people trying to dismiss the bubble conditions. That is important, because if the championship counts and Shaq says it does, then the question becomes how much it should count. Is ending a 10-year title drought worth more than simply saying one ring? Does restoring the Lakers to championship status deserve extra weight? Or does franchise history erase context because 5 rings will always beat one? There is no objective formula. But that is exactly why Shaq's simple counting method becomes controversial. Basketball careers are not played on spreadsheets. Timing matters. Teammates matter. Front offices matter. Competition matters. Injuries matter. And the condition of the franchise when a superstar arrives matters. LeBron gave Los Angeles something it had been desperately trying to reclaim for years: a championship identity. But Shaq's response is basically, that is great. Now show me the other banners. And this is where the entire argument becomes a battle over math, because the closer you inspect Shaq's numbers, the less simple they become. 1 ring versus 5 rings is Shaq's math. Actually fair? At first glance, Shaq's argument sounds impossible to challenge. Championships are the goal. Kobe won 5. Magic won 5. Kareem won multiple championships in Los Angeles. Shaq helped win 3 straight with the Lakers. LeBron won 1. Case closed. Except it is not that clean. According to the source, Shaq's original comparison included career championship totals for certain players rather than strictly Lakers championships. Kareem's 6 total championships include 1-1 before he joined Los Angeles. Shaq's 4 career championships include 1-1 later with Miami. That is where fans immediately found the opening. If this is a Lakers legacy debate, why are championships won somewhere else being added to the Lakers column? If it is an overall career debate, then LeBron's full career resume suddenly becomes much more powerful. You cannot use one measuring stick for Shaq and another for LeBron. Either we count Lakers championships only, or we count everything. And if we count everything, now we are dealing with LeBron's entire career. Multiple championships, finals appearances, MVPs. Scoring records, longevity that almost nobody in basketball history can match. That is a very different conversation. The strongest version of Shaq's argument does not need the inflated career totals anyway. Kobe still has 5 Lakers championships. Magic still has 5. Kareem still has 5 in Los Angeles. Shaq still has 3 with the Lakers. LeBron has 1. That is enough to establish a gap. If banners are the only measurement, but should banners be the only measurement? That is the heart of the debate. Robert Horry has more championships than many all-time superstars. Nobody ranks him above them because of that. Kurt Rambis won multiple championships with the Lakers. But nobody seriously argues that his individual Lakers legacy is greater than LeBron James's. So clearly, championships cannot be the entire formula. Role matters. Responsibility matters. Production matters. LeBron was not a supporting player on the 2020 Lakers. He was the engine. He won Finals MVP. He was one of the 2 primary reasons the championship happened. That matters more than simply being present for multiple banners, and that is where ring culture starts breaking down. Championships are essential, but championships without context can create absurd comparisons. The better question is not how many rings. The better question is, what did you contribute to those rings, and what did you do around them? And once you ask that question, LeBron's Lakers resume becomes harder to dismiss because his championship count may be smaller than the legends above him. His individual production is not the numbers Shaq. Can't ignore. This is where LeBron's side of the argument gets dangerous, because once you move away from banners and start looking at production, the gap changes immediately. According to the source, LeBron averaged roughly 25, 9 points. That's it. 7 rebounds, and 7. 9 assists during his Lakers run. The team produced a strong overall regular season record across that stretch, and LeBron remained statistically elite despite playing those seasons deep into the later stages of his career. That age context cannot be ignored. LeBron did not arrive in Los Angeles at 24. He did not get his entire athletic prime in purple and gold. He joined the Lakers after already playing 15 NBA seasons, and somehow, even after that mileage, he continued producing numbers that would define the peak of almost any other star's career. That is insane. Most NBA legends declined sharply by their mid-30s. LeBron was still carrying superstar expectations. He was still scoring, still creating, still rebounding, still controlling games. And during his Lakers tenure, he broke the NBA's all-time scoring record. That record was not exclusively a Lakers accomplishment. Obviously, it represented an entire career, but the moment happened in a Lakers uniform. Los Angeles became the stage where LeBron passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, another Lakers icon, to become the league's leading scorer. That is historical weight. Then there is his consistency. The source also references LeBron previously using statistics to respond to Shaq's comments about intimidation. highlighting the enormous streak of consecutive double-digit scoring games LeBron accumulated compared with Shaq's total career games played. That is classic LeBron. He has always fought legacy arguments with numbers, and numbers are where his case becomes overwhelming. But the problem is that numbers alone cannot solve this debate either, because if statistical greatness automatically created franchise supremacy, then championships would mean far less than Lakers culture traditionally says they do. And Lakers culture has always worshipped banners. The organization does not celebrate scoring averages outside the arena. It hangs championships. That is where Kobe, Magic, and Kareem maintained their strongest advantage. They were not simply elite for Los Angeles. They turned elite production into repeated championship eras. That is the standard. LeBron could not match during his Lakers tenure. And if we want to argue honestly, that difference cannot be ignored. Why Kobe, Magic, and Kareem still have the stronger Lakers case? LeBron's defenders can attack Shaq's math all they want. There is still one reality. They cannot completely escape. Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are not just former Lakers stars. They are Lakers era. Magic is connected to Showtime. Kareem is connected to sustained dominance across a championship period that helped define the franchise globally. Kobe represents an entire generation of Lakers basketball by himself. That is different from having an incredible 8-year run. Kobe spent 20 seasons with one franchise. Every chapter happened in Los Angeles. The rise, the three-peat, the conflict, the rebuilding years, the second championship run, the injuries, the farewell. His identity and Lakers' identity became almost impossible to separate. Magic had the same kind of cultural connection. His style did not simply help the Lakers win. It helped define what the Lakers were supposed to look like. Fast, creative, entertaining. Championship basketball with Hollywood energy. Kareem's longevity, production, MVP level greatness, and championship success gave him another type of permanent claim. LeBron does not have that same franchise ownership. That does not make him a lesser basketball player overall. That distinction is crucial. You can believe LeBron James is one of the two greatest players in NBA history and still argue he is not one of the three greatest Lakers ever. Those are completely different rankings. That is where a lot of fans talk past each other. One side says, LeBron is better than almost every player who ever wore a Lakers jersey. The other side says, that does not automatically make him a greater Laker. Both statements can be true. Franchise, legacy, rewards, commitment, championships, shared history, and emotional connection in ways an overall NBA ranking does not, and that is probably the strongest defense of Shaq's position. LeBron's overall career may be larger than almost anyone associated with the Lakers, but his Lakers chapter is only one part of that career. For Kobe, Los Angeles was the entire book. For Magic, it was the entire book. For Kareem, it was the defining second half of one of the greatest careers ever. That difference matters. But then the story gets personal again, because Shaq is not simply a Lakers historian calmly grading resumes. He and LeBron have been circling each other in legacy conversations for years. And whenever Shaq questions LeBron, LeBron has a habit of finding a way to respond. Shaq and LeBron have been doing this for years. This did not begin with at the party, but not on stage. Shaq and LeBron have a history of pushing the same sensitive button, legacy. According to the source, one of Shaq's previous comments focused on fear. He said he had heard players talk about fearing Michael Jordan. He had heard players talk about fearing Kobe Bryant, but he had not heard players describe LeBron the same way. That statement cut directly into one of the oldest criticisms attached to LeBron, that he is dominant but not terrifying. Great, but not ruthless. Powerful, but somehow lacking the mythological intimidation associated with Jordan or Kobe. LeBron noticed, and instead of giving a long interview attacking Shaq, he responded in the way he often does. With the receipt, the source describes LeBron sharing a statistical comparison emphasizing his incredible scoring consistency versus the total number of games Shaq played during his career. The message was obvious. You can debate fear, you cannot debate the numbers. That exchange established the pattern. Shaq makes a statement about how LeBron should be perceived. LeBron finds evidence that complicates the statement, then fans do the rest. And the Lakers' legacy argument is perfectly designed to restart that cycle. Except this time, LeBron does not have an easy statistical answer. You cannot erase 5 championships with a scoring streak. You cannot respond to Magic 1-5 by posting an assist total and expect the argument to disappear. Championships carry emotional power that statistics do not. That is why this Shaq comment may be harder for LeBron's camp to answer than the fear debate ever was. Shaq has finally chosen the category where LeBron's Lakers resume is undeniably thinner, but there is another reason. Shaq's opinion carries more weight than a random television analyst. He knows LeBron personally. The source emphasizes that the two shared an NBA locker room late in Shaq's career, although the sample itself contains an apparent team history and consistency in how that shared period is described. What remains important to the narrative is that Shaq has observed LeBron's career from much closer than most commentators ever could. He knows the personality, he knows the pressure, he understands superstar expectation. And Shaq also understands something else very well, what it feels like to be complicated inside Lakers history. He won championships there. He became an icon there, and even Shaq has publicly acknowledged that Lakers fans did not necessarily embrace him with the same unconditional love they gave Kobe. That makes his LeBron criticism much more interesting. Maybe he is not gatekeeping. Maybe he is describing a hierarchy he personally experienced. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. What if LeBron's problem is not that he failed to become a Lakers legend? What if the real problem is that LeBron was already too big to ever belong completely to one franchise? Is LeBron bigger than Lakers' legacy? This is where the argument leaves basketball statistics entirely. Some fans responding to Shaq's comments raised a provocative idea. Maybe ranking LeBron inside Lakers history is asking the wrong question. LeBron was already LeBron before Los Angeles. He had already won championships, already won MVPs, already changed Cleveland basketball forever, already built a championship team in Miami, already returned to Cleveland and delivered the franchise's first NBA title. By the time he became a Laker, most of his historical identity was already complete. That makes him fundamentally different from Kobe or Magic. The Lakers did not create LeBron James. LeBron James brought his existing mythology to the Lakers, and some fans in the source pushed that idea even further, arguing that LeBron's place in NBA history is larger than any debate about whether a specific franchise's fan base considers him one of its top internal legends. That sounds arrogant until you really think about it. If LeBron retired without ever playing for the Lakers, he would still be an all-time NBA icon. His legacy did not depend on Los Angeles. The Lakers chapter added to it, it did not create it. That is almost the opposite of how we think about Kobe. Remove the Lakers from Kobe Bryant's story and there is no Kobe story. Remove the Lakers from Magic Johnson's story and there is no Magic story. Remove the Lakers from LeBron's story and there is still Cleveland, Miami, championships, MVPs, finals run, records, and 2 decades of dominance. That difference may explain why some Lakers fans never felt the same emotional ownership of LeBron that they felt with Kobe. LeBron belonged to basketball first, Los Angeles second, but that does not mean his Lakers' impact was small. He arrived when the franchise needed credibility. He helped attract championship-level talent. He delivered the 2020 title. He gave Los Angeles another era of national relevance, and he created historic moments in a Lakers uniform, so perhaps Shaq is right in one sense and wrong in another. Maybe LeBron is not on the highest Lakers stage beside Kobe and Magic when the conversation is strictly about franchise identity, but maybe he does not need to be, because his overall NBA stage is already larger than almost anyone's. That is the tension heading into the final chapter. Rings versus impact, franchise identity versus overall greatness, Lakers immortality versus NBA immortality. And if you judge those categories separately, the answer to Shaq's question may be much more complicated than either side wants to admit. The final verdict, where does LeBron really rank? After all the arguments, Shaquille O'Neal's point comes down to one question. What actually makes someone a great Laker? If championships are the main standard, Shaq has a strong case. Magic Johnson won 5 titles with Los Angeles. Kobe Bryant won 5. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 5 of his 6 championships as a Laker. Shaq won 3 straight and collected 3 consecutive finals MVPs. LeBron James won 1 by that measurement alone. He does not have the same Lakers resume, but legacy cannot be reduced to one number. LeBron arrived in 2018 after the Lakers had missed the playoffs for 5 straight seasons. 2 years later, he helped bring Los Angeles back to the top by winning the 2020 championship, ending a decade-long title drought, and even Shaq has defended the legitimacy of that bubble title. LeBron also continued producing at an elite level deep into his 30s, eventually becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer while wearing purple and gold. His longevity, production, leadership, and ability to restore championship expectations all matter, but there is still an important distinction. Being one of the greatest players to ever wear a Lakers jersey is not automatically the same as being one of the greatest Lakers. Kobe spent his entire career in Los Angeles. Magic became the face of Showtime. Kareem helped define a championship era. Their identities became permanently connected to the franchise. LeBron's story is different. He was already an NBA legend before he arrived. Cleveland had one chapter, Miami had another, Los Angeles became an important part of his career, but not the entire story. That may be the fairest way to understand Shaq's at the party. But not on stage, come on. LeBron absolutely belongs among Lakers legends. His championship matters. His records matter. His impact matters. But if the highest stage is reserved for players who combined elite production with multiple Lakers championships and decades of franchise identity, then Kobe, Magic, Kareem, and Shaq still have the stronger case. The mistake is thinking that ranking LeBron lower in Lakers history somehow reduces his overall greatness. It does not. LeBron can be one of the greatest players in NBA history while still ranking behind certain names, specifically as a Laker. Greatness has different categories. Rings matter. Longevity matters. Impact matters. Context matters. And no single number tells the entire story. So now the final verdict belongs to you. If you agree with Shaq and believe LeBron is a Lakers legend, but not on the highest stage, come on. If you believe his championship, historic production, and impact put him among the absolute greatest Lakers ever. Come on, dude. Tell us where you're watching from. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, like the video, share it with another NBA fan, and subscribe to the channel for more NBA news, player drama, trades, and the biggest debates around basketball, because championships tell us who won, but deciding what greatness means, that argument never ends.